What's going on, y'all? It's J Small Reviews here, back at it again with another video, man. Bringing you guys now my full thoughts, breakdown, and predictions on Bullpen's Endgame event. John has now finally dropped the full card. We are about 3 weeks out, and this does look to be Bullpen's big contribution to this fourth quarter push you're seeing across Battle Rap. Obviously, Return to Cassidy is something that's good, that you use on big cards and big situations. Rex versus Bad News, right? Rock, we got legends all over the card. So, this will be my in-depth predictions of it. Like I said, even though we are 3 weeks out, I am pretty confident in the winners that I'm going to pick. And I feel like some matchups obviously have the element to go 50-50, depending on the settings now. A few things go down. But without further ado, let's get into the card. So first battle on the card is Reggie P versus Danny Myers. If this is your first time seeing the card, or you haven't figured it out, clear theme of the card, right, as Endgame is these Bullpen talents getting legend plates, getting their Endgame plates. Even though I don't think Chirac is Bullpen affiliated, she's just getting a good look here. But, you have Bad News, Clone, Loso, who are like the base, frontline roster. Some would throw Trez in that conversation, career started, spit that heat, a little bit different, although Bullpen played a key role. But those 3 or 4 guys, those are like your frontline guys. But then you got Reggie P, who's been rapping probably longer than most of them, has been getting looks a lot more over the last few years on Bullpen, and he's battling Danny Myers to start the card, who will give anybody a shot. You know what I'm saying? It's not hard to give Danny one of your home league talents a shot. I got Danny. Should be 3-0. It's at home, right? And it's his endgame plate. So I'm gonna give Reggie P maybe the benefit of the doubt to get around. But this is the widest skill gap margin on the card. And last time I saw Reggie P was on the same card as it was Geechee and Bad News, Av and Clone, Jazz and Loso. I don't remember the name of it. I know it was a little bit ago. And he got 30 by Super Black, who I also don't think would be competition to Danny Myers. So I got Danny Myers really clearly in that battle. And then you have Loso versus Serious Jones. Loso has been ridiculously active this year. I mean, people are going to remember, the Geechee and Tay-Rock in one weekend situation, right? But this guy has battled Your Honor, Prez Mafia, Jack Boy. I believe he's battled out of the country a couple times as well. There's definitely a couple more that I'm forgetting. I think he had a 2-on-2 somewhere in there. This guy's been all over the place, and it's been showing in the fatigue, too. He's been stumbling all over the place. And I'll give it to Jones, man. Obviously, he gets a lot of critique in modern battle rap. And hell, I got him 0-2 this year. You know what I'm saying? He's been losing more as the years have went on for a guy that was known for mostly winning all of his career. I feel like he's last few years, let's say out of his last 5 outings, there's probably more like clear L's than even he was accustomed to. However, the Tay-Rock battle, not too great, had him losing, but the John battle was a step in the right direction. He was really good. This is going to be more of, I believe, a stage-like setting. Doesn't help Jones, you know what I'm saying? I feel like you got it, the smaller the room, the better for some of these like level of vets that are very like rap ability emphasized over everything. But what do I take? Jones, who's been a little less experienced, right, and has had a harder time executing on stage, or Loso, who's just having a hard time getting raps out clean, right? Now, I'm going to lean towards Loso in this one, 2-1, for 2 reasons. One, if I did have to assume they were both clean, I do think Loso is better right now, so just have more confidence in his ability. And even though he's had the stumble issues that someone like Jones hasn't, it is Endgame, right? Now, hell, this guy even stumbled all over the place in the Rosenberg battle this year to the point that it was like a topic in itself. So it's not even like he's foreign to not being great on Bullpen recently. But it is a big card, right? And I don't know how many of the other, of these larger cards that are coming out, Loso is going to get a look on. So we could say in terms of, he's had bigger looks in terms of the Geechee and the Rock battle, but in terms of possibly like a big stage venue here and what John wants this event to be, an event that Cassidy is headlining, a lot of eyes on this one, and could be a great opportunity that, even though if you look in this active year, there's been a lot of inconsistency, you get a win here, and people look back, they like your Geechee and Tay-Rock performance, it makes the year look better overall. So if you want to right some very unnecessary wrongs that have happened, I think Loso could come out here, show out, have like, not best performance tonight, but one of the better ones, and I do have him getting a W versus Serious Jones. And then you got Jazz versus Chirac, which this one is kind of out of nowhere, because like I said, it's out of... Mostly, it's been all the other 5 battles. John who owns Bullpen, and then 4 Bullpen talents getting big looks. I could be completely wrong. I don't even know if Chirac has battled on Bullpen before. Hell, I might even watch a Chirac Bullpen battle. I'm just not remembering. But I like Chirac. If you've watched when I talked about Wody and talked about women's battle rap last year, I loved her year. I thought that she beat KCJ. I don't think it was the same year that she battled 40, but I even thought she got a round clear in that battle. I thought she was handling business versus her mid-tier comp last year. And if you heard me talk about Chirac this year, you know I was disappointed until the Yoshi battle. She was stumbling, she was choking to start the year, but then she showed out again and got right back on track, battling a name like her biggest name of the year, clears a good version of Yoshi. But now she's got Jazz. Like, Jesus Christ, that's a jump. But, battle Casey, battle 40. And I think she'll do good in this battle. Another one where it is outside of ball. The only time I've seen her perform good this year is at home, but that was a humongous event, right? So I'm not going to, hold it against her, but it's something to think about because she wasn't great when she went over to Miami to battle Taz. She wasn't very good when she went to Connecticut to battle on QB's league. And she's facing Jazz, who might have had one of the top 5 3-round performances of the year, clearing, in my opinion, 30ing a very good version of Tay-Rock. Reggie P and Danny Myers is a bigger talent gap, because I do think that, Chirac is a good, you got to respect her, and at her best, she can be competition for a round, unless she brings that across 3 rounds. But how could I bet against Jazz in this situation? She looks as good as ever in and out of the ring. She's been fantastic the last couple years in battle rap, and then even her last battle. You know what I'm saying? So this is also a humongous talent gap. I have faith that Chirac will do good in the moment. I'm hoping she makes the most of the opportunity, but I am going with a ladylike 30 here for Jazz the Rapper in what could very possibly be one of the more dominant performances of the night. And then you have the top 3 battles of the card, the top half of the card that I do feel like is the driving force. And I've talked about 2 of these battles before, but the one that came out with the full card that I hadn't talked about yet is Clone versus Tay-Rock. And something you have to take into account for Clone, but also John and Bad News, right? Besides them all being bullpen talent, is they're all in, well, John is in Cody conversations, right? When people are bringing up who they think are, some of the top contenders are having the best years, John is being mentioned at top 5, if not higher. Some people's number 1. But it's a list, right? Besides number 1 spot, although people forget it is a top 20 list. And I think Bad News and Clone, not in that number 1 extent, but in terms of fighting for the list, are right there as well. And, we'll start with Clone in particular, since this is his battle. He's battled Shotgun Suge this year, won that battle. Battled Twerk on Bullpen, in my opinion, clearly won that battle. Versus Death the Kid on Mass 6, body bag, just absolutely made an example of him. It was a mismatch. And now you have a Tay-Rock battle. Tay-Rock, Suge, and Twerk all in the same year. That's not that bad, man. The consistency's been there. Material's been there. But this is going to be his toughest fight yet. And it's not a fight that I do have Clone winning. I think Clone is going to be really good. This is the best situation for him, right? He's been punching at a great rate. I feel like especially the real talk, he's getting to it more so in the 3rd rounds, but you'll see it across the battle. He's great in that bag. He is always going to have this type of flow. I've accepted it. I still like Clone either way. But the problem is you're doing that against someone versus Tay-Rock that has every type of flow as of recent, every type of pocket. The thing that I think is the toughest for Clone happens to be right now the thing that Tay-Rock is the best at. Very tough. On top of that, he's the explosive puncher that he is. If we're talking a bigger room, which I believe we are, is there anyone more well-equipped than a Tay-Rock? There's just too many reasons. And on top of that, we talked about John being in that convo. Hey, did I mention Tay-Rock has been there the entire year? You know what I'm saying? It's been one of the biggest talking points of the year. So it's just an extremely uphill battle. But Clone has been proving himself in these uphill battles this year. Although this will be his toughest fight, I do have him getting around, but I am expecting Tay-Rock to win this one 2-1. Tay-Rock has had so many battles, not too much to talk about. The fatigue only showed up, I believe, in terms of forgetting something versus Loso. It was the second round versus Loso that he ended up choking, and was it the 3rd round? It was the 3rd round versus Loso he ended up choking in. My apologies. But besides that, even if you think he's at a lower level quality-wise, he's still bringing it every battle. There hasn't been much else fatigue-wise, and I don't think he has anything else that we know of, immediately, a week around or anything like that. So that's the only thing to think about, because in my opinion, talent-wise, even as good as Clone is, I think we'd all agree that Tay-Rock has that advantage in multiple categories. So got Tay-Rock winning, and then we have, like I mentioned, the headliner and the co-headliner, the 2 battles that I talked about, one very recent, and that is Bad News versus T-Rex. I love it. You know what I'm saying? Same lane of style. Bad News has been calling Rex out forever. Something that I realized too, I couldn't believe I forgot about it first time I talked about the battle, but after watching the Rex interview, promoing up for each other, Bad News was part of Dot Mob. Like I don't know how that like left my mind, but that was like a humongous like thing for Bad News' career for a period of time. So I'm sure they're gonna have some personal shots in this one. I don't know how. I don't think there's any like love lost in person, right? But for the sake of the battle, there's gonna be a lot of things to talk about, and they're both gonna talk that street shit. They're both gonna talk some drug shit, be barking on each other. And this one is the one that is the hardest to call for me. I felt very, very confident. Loso, you know what I'm saying? There's a few things to take into account for, but I think Danny for sure is going to win. I'm very confident in Jazz and Rock, and I'm pretty confident in Loso, right? But News and Rex can go either way when we talk about Bad News. I mean, this is the best that he's ever looked, right? The Arsenal battle, the JC battle, the Dot battle, and really this like the epitome of like endgame plate for him. Like for someone in my opinion who's like not like a top tier talent, but still a known talent like Bad News, I don't think it'll ever get more in path for his career than this T-Rex plate. So I'm expecting someone who's already been really good this year. And why have someone beating someone like JC? I expect him to probably be even better than that, more applied than that. And then even though the pen has improved a bit, he doesn't have to focus too much on that, or he's not against someone that's going to outright him, so it's going to really make his bars look like quality-wise they pale in comparison. They're just going to talk. Now, with all that being said, T-Rex has looked too goddamn good. 3 battles in a row. And he's going to have a busy schedule, coming up. He said he's got clean paper in December. He's got Swamp coming up. Those are tougher fights. Well, not clean, but Swamp is a tougher fight. There's things to talk about when we get there. However, this is the first of them. I expect him to be the most well-prepped. T-Rex's energy and that grittiness in a grudge match is something that I cannot wait to see. And for the first time in a long time, I feel like I can bet on Rex's consistency here a little bit. So I got Rex 2-1. But if it's not Clone and Rocks, I think a lot of people are going to pick that. But for me, I think I'm going Bad News and T-Rex battle of the night as well. So I got Rex 2-1, but it's not by a clear margin. Could he win clear? Yes. Could he lose clear? Yes. But I have it being the closest battle of the night. I have both of them doing very good. And as you could tell, it's the one that I'm the most excited for. And then you've got John versus Cassidy, the spectacle that is, this auto impact type of matchup that you booked that eventually as you get closer to the date of the card and the promo picks up, which it's already started, you will start seeing it be more about like the return of Cassidy. And like I said, they both done hip hop as real interviews now. I saw John doing what every battle rapper does and should say versus Cass. My stats are better than yours. My skills have doubled yours. My accolades within this game, they simply are superior to yours, which is true every time. And in classic Cassidy fashion, he's responded with something along the lines of, yeah, but it would take like 4 Johns and like Godzilla, and still that would be like half of what I'm doing. And this ain't even the new science. This is the old shit that I've been using. So the nonsense is already picking up, right? And it's going to be big for the battle, but the result of it, even though a lot of that impact and the build-up comes from the Cassidy side of things, that's why you book them, the result of it lies, like with every other battle rapper that faces Cass, on the battler. So John, he's the determiner of really what this battle turns out to be, because in terms of skill, country mile gap, just like it is every time, he is 100% better at this craft than Cassidy is. But he's expected to win by so much. I saw him speaking to this, and it is unfair, but it's the challenge in a non-challenging matchup, right? Is that you're expected to win by so much that if it's not this 100-0 battle versus Cassidy, it turns into, if it's not a complete 30-point blowout, right? People want to see something happen, so the door opens where even if if you win regular, people will be like, oh, well, maybe it was closer than it should have been and Cass won. That's why Cass can just go versus Hitman and say, I signed your Spalding. And people just give him the battle, right? And he's got that bigger fan base. He just has to do less to get more. And that's what happens when you have someone as popular as this. That's his superpower. It's not in the ring. It's this optic fan base type of game that you get into. But if there's any matchup that Cass has faced where I got him outside of Diz, I got him losing the rest of the battles. Him and Arsenal was also atrocious, so I don't want to give Arsenal too much praise, but I had him winning, Hitman winning. I had Goods winning, right? But the difference between John and those guys is going into this battle, he's in form. You know what I mean? Goods, Hitman, they pop out rarely, right? So it's almost like they pop out not as rare as Cass, but they just They just come out and battle. Jonathan's already had, we talked about it, he's looked at by many as one of the best battle rappers in 2024 in this calendar year. So he's already coming in with the performances that it would take to do something like that to Cassidy. So out of any of them, I give him maybe the best shot so far of doing what has to be done. And I think it goes without saying, but I do have John winning 3-0, but 3-0 in the big fashion it takes to make a battle like this really feel like, you know what I'm saying, like he really killed Cassidy. Like, I really think he's gonna, even though I have all them beating Cassidy and really most of the time 3-0, he's gonna be the one to do where it feels like, oh, this is a pro versus an amateur. Like, it is gonna be that type of timing, and I do think that John is gonna have performance on the night. It's my other prediction. So battle of the night I see being News and Rex. Performance of the night I see being John and Cass. And it's a tough situation because, like I said, it's the challenge against a non-challenging opponent. You don't just have to win, you have to overwin. But I think with the way he's been battling, this is the exact mindset and the exact motivation it'll take to get John there to have the performance necessary, man. But that is my full thoughts here on Bullpen Endgame. And I don't want to talk on it for long. I see this bootlegging convo all over the place, which comes up, and people get caught bootlegging, and they just blame the league, and it's a big circle. Nothing ever, it seems like, fully ever happens, and it's bootlegging. It'll never fully go away, but I really do hope with this fourth quarter, some of these bigger events, these are the ones that cost the most money for these leagues and the hardest to replicate without the proper support. So even if you have bootleg some of the smaller leagues, man, or if you bootleg some of the more major events of the year, if there's any time to spend in support the Bullpen Endgame, support power moves from Hitman Holla, you know what I'm saying? And some of these bigger, especially, rapper-based leagues. But if URL, you know what I'm saying, King of the Dot with Mass 6, if we see another big URL event before the year is out, there's a reason that these end up being the bigger cards of the year. And if the draw comes back, we get more of these cards. And these are the ones that excite us more than any other card of the year. You spent the whole year bitching that you want certain battles. If you support cards like this, you get those types of battles. So my quick little rant there, but it's been J Smo Reviews again here, y'all. I want to hear all your opinions on this one, man. Comments on which battles you love on the card, which battles you don't love as much, your battle of the night, performance of the night. So like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Peace.